All right, we're getting into it. Let's get these Facebook groups in here. It is Thursday the 17th. We got spinning wheels. Boom, there we go. Welcome in, guys. 7:34 a.m. February 17th means it's time for an episode of Broncos for Breakfast. I am Nick Kendell and joined by, as always, Scott Kennedy. Scott, good morning to you. Hope the coffee's hot. Have you had a sip yet?
Coffee's a little too hot. I just had a sip, and I'm not ready to drink it yet. And apologies for being a few minutes late. I'm going to derail the chat right now because Nick and I just spent 5 minutes talking about our favorite female vocalists, going back to the Wilson sisters and Hart and Pat Benatar and Stevie Nicks and Amy Lee of Evanescence. So it's a topic I'm very passionate about because I absolutely love a strong female lead. So we got off the rails a little bit, and I'm sure that will lead the chat. People start typing in some names and stuff. Mariah Brink, how about Mariah Brink?
There we go.
In this moment, she's insane.
Yeah,
she's crazy.
Yeah.
So anyway, how are you this morning?
I'm doing pretty well. I feel conflicted because it is my favorite time of year. We're going to be talking a little bit of mock draft season, and ESPN has mocked the same guy to the Broncos twice at 9, and it is a player that I feel conflicted about because it's a position that typically I'm not saying, hey, we have a lot of historical data saying this is a risky move to take in the first round given the ROI or the return on the investment. But I absolutely love the player. So, it's tough. That makes it tough. But it's not Tyler Linderbaum. It's not that level of positional value versus tough versus my love of the player. But it's tough.
No, and from, it's when we're talking Devin Lloyd, Utah, it's a little bit of the same discussion we have with Kyle Hamilton. Both you and I would be happy with Kyle Hamilton at 8 or 9 as a safety. I don't let him go past 4 whenever you and I mock. So again, you've heard me say it before. If you think you're getting a game changer and you truly believe it, then a game changer is positionless. It doesn't necessarily matter. Can he affect the game? Can he change the game? Because you can do that from any position. You really can.
Yeah.
It's just harder to get it done at some positions than others.
Totally.
And you take Tyler Linderbaum as an example at center. If you redrafted, how far would it take for Creed Humphrey to get drafted? Would he go top 15 if you did a redraft?
I don't think so. I could go back in the first round still because of the positional value. I'm really leaning into the offensive line. It's what's more important is how good your 5th guy is versus how good your 1st guy is. So I'd rather have 8 C-level players or 2 B-level players and 3 Cs versus 1 A and 5 Fs.
It'd be pretty nice to be able to plug in a Pro Bowler, for the next decade at center. And
for sure.
And it's like, okay, whatever else we've got, we're good there.
Yeah. It's just they're exceedingly undervalued and not hard to find. And you're also not maximizing that rookie contract in that as well because you can find guys for cheap in that. So he's good. It also speaks to last year's draft class, how incredible last year's draft class was. Top 15 this year, no doubt about it. We'd be talking about a top 10 in this class.
Yeah, and apologies. You're right. Yeah. You're right. I mean, usual in a typical class because, again,
last year's special, man. It was so good.
How far down would Zach Wilson fall, do you think, if they redid him?
This year?
Mm-hmm. No, and if they redid the last year class, he went 2 last year, obviously.
Oh.
I don't think he'd go 2 again.
No, I don't think he'd go 2. I think you'd probably have – honestly, I think Trey Lance would go 2, even though he hasn't even played because the tools – we haven't seen him yet. That's
so ridiculous.
I'm all in on Trey Lance, man. He's going to kill it. All in, baby. But I think he would still go top 10 just because of the quarterback tools and value. But Mac Jones would be going, top 3, top 5. As well. So who knows? The real question is, I don't know if you saw my tweet yesterday about tight end versus wide receiver, the top picks last year, EPA per play, or not EPA per play, EPA overall. Jamar Chase had almost 4 times as much EPA created as Kyle Pitts last year. Jalen Waddle almost had twice as much EPA last year as Kyle Pitts. I'm curious.
Switch your teams.
Yeah. That's a big one for sure, but that's a massive difference.
Put Jamar Chase in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And see. So I mean, a lot of that stuff is
situational.
It's a team game. It's a team game. And Blank 916 over on Twitch. Good morning. Says try your hardest to find something more inaccurate than silly mock drafts. Again, I like to use them as a guide to see who might be available around when I'm picking. Not necessarily, and for me, I think Aaron Freeman Locked On podcast kind of took a little bit of shot because I went and blasted Todd McShay basically on every platform I'm on for mocking another wide receiver, not just a wide receiver, but another one, someone that he didn't even have in his top 32 a month ago is going to go 8 to the Falcons after you didn't even think he was a first round guy. Come on, man. Mine was more about his idiocy than, oh man, the Falcons are going to go wide receiver. That's so dumb. No. It's so dumb that McShay is putting the Falcons at 8. My criticism is more of a guy who's getting paid to do this than might it actually happen.
God, I know what I'm going to do next mock draft Monday. I better get the Falcons again just to tease Scott. I just want to we got to get the screenshot of the face. Let's get some people going in here. Ethan, good morning, Broncos country. Good to see you. Morning, gents. Awesome to see you, Ethan. Did Chelsea win yesterday? Are we riding
Chelsea
high?
hasn't played yet. Yesterday was Inter and Liverpool. And because I've been so busy with y'all, I actually have been watching the games on delay. So I didn't finish Tuesday's Champions League game until last night, and it was dull. Sometimes the first leg, they play 2 games, and sometimes the first leg is a lot like a first half of a football game. It's kind of a feeling out period. You try not to lose it in the first. And then Kylian Mbappe, who's one of the top young talents in the world, scores with 30 seconds left, and just an awesome goal too. So
He's
it's
incredible.
like, and that's what's fun about soccer. It's like that lightning strike could happen at any given time. And if it doesn't, it's over in 90 minutes. That's the first half. That's a quarter and a half of the SEC football game of the week on CBS that lasts 5 hours.
Oh my God. I think the NCAA championship is still being played. That game lasted 6 hours. Luke Wright coming in. Good morning, Nick and Scott. Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday to you. Mile High Truth. Good cold Denver day to my peeps. Yeah, we might get some snow here in Seattle next week, which does not make me excited. Mountains need it though. So, and I have some friends who ski out here a lot, so I'm happy for them. But I'm not ready for the cold to come back. Sunny days. Oh, he's got the coffee emoji. I'm almost out of my first cup. I got to pour some more here.
Oh, and I'm looking.
Thank you.
I'm looking. I'm sorry. I'm a little distracted. The chat doesn't seem to be working quite right for me because I know Jacob's coming here, and usually when in the stars or an emoji, and it's not showing up over here on my chat and it's not scrolling either. The last one I see is Miguel saying, "Good morning, fellas." So I'm having a little troubles with the stars on here, Jacob. Unless you came in on one of the other channels. Which doesn't make sense because I'm not seeing Shane saying good morning either.
Good morning,
I'll
Shane.
I'll have to figure this out. Apologies.
How you doing, Shane? It's been a hot second. Hope you're doing pretty well. EJ's in the house. Good morning, Nick and Scott. Sean Burns. Good morning. Keep the coffee hot and tasty. Absolutely. I got my shipment from Iowa of my coffee yesterday. There was on sale, so I had to grab some. It's just a roaster. They don't grow the beans in Iowa. Gosh, what are we doing? More CC, morning all. Diamond Rattler, boom, let's go. We got US Dave. Bronco talk, no big whoop. I'm enjoying it. I think it's like coffee talk coming in here. It kind of doubled up. Yeah, it did do some stuff here where the chat had some issues. I don't know. Good morning, y'all. Good to see. We got some lead singing here. Martha Davis says Desert Creature. There's a voice for you. Greg Smith, good morning, all. Awesome to see. Roy Osborne, good morning, Nick and Scott. French roast coffee. That's what I'm drinking right now with chocolate cream. Okay, now you lost me. That's a little too much. Yummy. Can't go wrong with female vocalists. Absolutely. My sister was a phenomenal singer as well, so I appreciate that. We both I accompanied her many times with the violin. Miguel, good morning, fellas. Awesome to see you. Alabama, Shagreen coming in. Is Hamilton a Jamal Adams type player? No, he is not a Jamal Adams type player. Jamal Adams is, I don't want to diminish his skill set too much, but Jamal Adams is more of a will linebacker to me than he is a safety. You want him playing towards the line of scrimmage, a little bit of an overhang role where he can blitz, where he can play in the box, et cetera, et cetera. And you don't really want him in the slot so much unless he's coming downhill, maybe in a hook type of zone situation or a rover kind of situation. Hamilton, I think, is more versatile. He is significantly bigger and longer. And I think you are fine playing him in the back half. And he's much more versatile. I would say Hamilton, not to, again, Scott always eyes glaze over when I make a Pokemon reference, but he's like Justin Simmons if Justin Simmons was like 10% bigger, faster, stronger, with the body type, with the versatility, et cetera, et cetera. And if you talk about redrafts, Justin Simmons would have been a top 15 pick in that draft class he came out in if you redid that one. Hamilton is just that much more physically gifted. than Justin Simmons. So I think that's the comparison. There's not many guys like him. I know some people have compared him to Sean Taylor, which is insanity to me. I mean, Hamilton's very good, but he's not the absolute sledgehammer that Sean Taylor was. But man, Hamilton's great. I really love him. Oh, we got Mark Schrader coming in too, I'm sure, with the Stars. Mark, thanks for joining us yesterday on Scott's channel. We appreciate that. I didn't recognize you.
We think that was you. Did he ever
He
say?
He said it was.
Okay,
yes,
good. Well, thank you.
Yep, Mark S on YouTube, but Mark Schrader on Facebook. Good morning, Nick and Scott. Great to see you. Leroy Williams, do you pick a safety at 9? If it's Kyle Hamilton in this class, absolutely. Travis is here. Oh, got to get the hat. There we go. Nighthawk, there we go. Morning, fellas. DBA for live. Jeremy Bales, awesome to see. Duped plebs coming in. Any decent lineman has been difficult for the Broncos to find for the last decade. Last year, I would say they did a pretty good job with having no absolute trash offensive linemen out there. There were some ups and downs early with Reisner, but like plug and play Bobby Massey was fine. The issues kind of came when the injuries started to creep up. So they weren't a dominant line, but they were not like the Bengals last year. Like, yeah, talking about that. And we need to get to some of these supers as well. Sorry, guys. Don't want to skip anybody.
Guys, I apologize to the Facebook Stars folks. I can't. They it won't scroll for me on the chat on Chrome or on Firefox. So something's going up. I would like to think that that's on Facebook. And they're showing up in here. We're seeing you. So we'll say hello to a lot of folks as they come in through Facebook through our end.
For sure. Casey Nickel, thank you for the big support. Yes, yesterday or Tuesday. The days start to get mixed up for me, but you came in with a big one the other day, so we appreciate you. Thanks for coming in again.
Well, and if you didn't see it, if Casey's in here, oh yeah, Casey coming right there. Right. Duh. Like I said, I'm all over the place this morning. I'm all out of sorts. They've got me screwed up this morning. Casey was amazing last night on as a guest coming in. You know, you get a little bit worried, are people going to freeze? They're going to be a little dry. And Casey was a natural. So I feel like you've done some public speaking before. That couldn't have been your first time, because that was very, very smooth, Casey. Great job.
Well, awesome to hear. I'm excited to go back and listen to that. I didn't get home from work yesterday until I was complaining to you. I didn't get home to work yesterday until about 9 p.m. So it's been a busy one for me. Casey Nickel, for free agency, what's available for the right guard position or edge rusher? This is a very much a cop-out answer for me, but free agency before free agency opens to me is half the guys are going to change. You have the top guys. A lot of the best players that are going to hit free agency never do, because the teams either tag them or work out an extension before they hit free agency. On the other hand, you have a heaping of cap casualties that become available as well. I mean, you have Zadarius Smith and Preston Smith that are both likely to become available. You have Trey Flowers from the Detroit Lions that is likely to become available. There's some edge rushers for you that are not free agents yet, but they're going to be free agents soon. So I like to wait until that action happens. Right guard position, the top one will be Brandon Scherf. He's been tagged like 2 years in a row, former 5th overall pick from the University of Iowa. I love him. He's a very fun, tenacious player, would be great in the wide zone. I don't think I want to sink that much of resources into the right guard position as he's going to get paid. Again, I'd rather be holistically good 7 deep, 8 deep across the offensive line rather than sinking that much volume into one position on the line, especially at an interior position.
Yeah, I like the idea. You should be able to go get somebody at guard, and I like the draft at edge right now, honestly.
Yes.
Because again, for all the reasons that Nick said, the good ones in free agency don't become available. And if they are, they're really expensive. You know, Dante Fowler is a free agent. He got a 3-year, $45 million contract after a 10-sack season with the Rams, and he had 7 sacks in 2 seasons. Yeah. So I like, this is the year, get your edge. And that was part of the conversation we had yesterday about why it's so stupid to mock a wide receiver at 8 when you had 4 sacks from your defensive line last year.
Absolutely. Hat on, Travis Starbucks says, and any word on KJ Hamler's recovery? Have not heard anything. I know that he was walking around on the field towards the end of last season, and we know how good surgeries have been improving as far as those knee injuries that used to be catastrophic. Now guys are coming back in the same bleeping season. Not like Cam Akers with the Achilles tearing it preseason and then coming and playing in the playoffs, which is absolute insanity. God, medical marvel, no doubt. But as far as KJ Hamler's recovery, wait and see. Hopefully we'll get some information here soon, but I don't think we're going to get any real viable information that I'm going to put any weight in until we're actually like approaching when the veterans are returning to Denver to facilities for off-season programs and whatnot. Hopefully we'll get an idea then. Just scares me because Hamler's a quick twitch player. He relies on the jitter bugness, which is a lot of force on those knees when you do that. And it wasn't just the ACL. It was ACL, quote, and some other stuff. What does that mean? Typically, if it's a clean ACL tear, it's a lot more simple. When it's ACL and some other stuff,
nerve damage.
You don't. Yeah, that one is scary. That one is scary for me. We won't know until we know. I was messing around with. I found a fun database with a bunch of wide receiver data from last year. That's how I kind of went through the Kyle Pitts versus the top wide receivers as EPA per play. But the Broncos last year, they had all of their wide receivers were outside the top 50 as far as cushion goes from opposing defensive backs. So these guys are up on the line of scrimmage. Not really much respect for the speed of any of these wide receivers. Some of that is Teddy Bridgewater, no doubt, not pushing it deep. But Broncos had no cushion except for KJ Hamler. He was top 10 in cushion from opposing defensive backs. You'd want to have some speed at the wide receiver position to force defenses to play off, give you some space, change the coverage in the back end, also make your reads more simple for your quarterback. But who knows how long it's going to be with KJ.
Wide receivers with size, you should be able to fade those guys to death, though. You should be able to at least to help beat that. You're going to get single coverage if there's no cushion on a press man, and you've got size at wide receiver. You should throw a few fades. Just beat them off the line, because if they're pressing you, well, big and strong should beat a press. That's why you have big and strong. Take advantage of it. So again, we see all these. We see these receivers and we think of all the good things they can do, but do we overrate them a little bit? Or is it more just that they're too similar?
The Broncos wide receivers?
Yeah.
This is actually a surprising data point. They had, in this reference, this database that I found, they have a positive negative value where 0 is like a total average player as far as the production and value they brought.
Yeah, the WAR.
It's essentially WAR. It was called positive production or something. I should send you this database because it was really fun. They have a lot of fun efficiency data in it that I had not seen for individual players. But last year, they attributed the Broncos, they only had one receiver that was positive value on the team that out of the big three. That was Tim Patrick. Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton were both negative in terms of the value compared to average. A lot of that has to do because their throws, when they were throwing it to them, were not being completed at a rate that you would like. So compared to the average, but hopefully they'll improve this year. And again, football's a team game. That speaks as much to the system, the quarterback as it does those guys. But interesting to see. I mean, we talked about it last year. Oh, we have all these really great wide receivers. I mean, are they really that great, or are we just hyping them up because we're that close to the situation? Last year they were not that great, so hopefully they can improve. Albert Knopper is coming in. I think we should roll next season with Drew as the quarterback and use draft picks to draft for need, like right tackle, linebacker, corner, safety. What do you think? Everybody coming from Denver keeps saying quarterback is a huge need. The Broncos are going to explore every possibility at quarterback. And then there's Drew. So Drew is here. Drew is a breaking case of emergency situation, I think, at the quarterback. If things don't go right and the market doesn't break the way you want it, then you can go to Drew. He offers you top 40, top 30 quarterback play. He's here. He's exceedingly cheap. And there's always still the possibility with the frame that he has, with the arm talent that he has, with the athleticism that he has, that it clicks. What is he going to be? 25, 26 this year? He still has some good serviceable years ahead of him. So it still could click. So I think that's a breaking case of emergency situation. I do think that if Drew is at all possible part of the situation or one of the quarterbacks for next year, he's going to have to earn that with winning another competition like he did this, or like he didn't do this last year versus Teddy Bridgewater. But it's definitely a possibility. And you could do worse than Drew Lock for a single season, hoping that maybe he figures it out. And if not, guess what? We're not stuck like the Indianapolis Colts, who might have to flip and cut Carson Wentz after they've given up a 2-1. You're not stuck paying $18 million for 1 year to Sam Darnold, where you only have one pick in the top 100 like the Panthers. I think PFF yesterday released an article, best and worst case scenario for each team this year. Broncos' worst case scenario was playing Drew Lock as the starter. No, I don't have high expectations for that, but that's much better than paying huge resources on a guy who is emphatically not it.
Yeah, your worst case isn't that bad.
No.
Now, Albert, going back to Albert real quick, Nick.
Nope,
he was saying, should. The key word for me there is should. I think we should roll into next season with Drew. I think you may have to, but I don't think that should be your default. Your default is we're looking to upgrade this position through trade, through free agency, whether you can do it at a draft.
Yep.
Should is giving up, is not doing your job as a general manager,
Yep.
Which is trying to upgrade what you've got in the room already, because you haven't seen enough from your quarterback to just say, this is our guy.
Yep.
He hasn't. We can talk about hopes, prayers, and dreams, but he hasn't shown that he is a legitimate starting quarterback in this league through his 3 seasons in the league. And nobody knows that better than the guys in the room who've been in the building with him for 3 years.
Yep.
Or parts of at least. I mean, I know there's been some turnover. So no. You may have to. And again, your worst case scenario is Drew Lock starting. And that's not that bad. That's not that bad.
Nope. Absolutely. Well, I mean, the worst case is they, give up massive capital for Jimmy Garoppolo and then pay him a contract.
That's true. The worst case is you end up paying a lot more for a guy that isn't any better than Drew.
Yep.
That is worst case, but I don't see that happening. That would be, again, you've heard me say this before, Nick, that would be stupid. And I haven't seen George Payton do stupid stuff. He's doing stuff that makes sense.
Yeah. I agree with you for the most part, but you never know. It just still scares me. We got Ehiso Gesundheit, forgive me. Good morning, y'all. Good morning to you. Hope you're doing well. We got Duke Plebs' is name going. He's listing all the best all-time Broncos here. Michael Schofield, Max Garcia, Menelik Whitson, Donald Stevenson. Where's some Juwan James references and Elijah Wilkinson when you need it? The Broncos have played their fair share of bad offensive linemen over the last few seasons. No doubt about it. Got to get better there. I think last year, though, there was a pretty good floor, and hopefully they can continue to get better. Mark Schrader, what round is
stars? I think I finally found a way on one of the 14 different views that I can scroll around
there you go.
Off of a homepage and see the chat. I know someone else was saying they were having some trouble too, so I'm looking at it off of a homepage instead of going into the chat, and I see big stars for Mark Schrader.
Big stars, Mark. We love you, Mark. We got him saying, what roundish would you anticipate Wolesky going, and does he even make up?
I'm thinking he means Matt Waletzko.
I am going to be honest. I wish I knew who Matt Waletzko was off the top of my head.
I do, and I'm going to put up some video for you because I really like this kid.
What
Matt
position?
Is a nice, lean, 6'7", 310-pound offensive lineman with nice reach and nice feet.
North Dakota. Yep. Okay. As soon as I saw the helmet.
I like him. I don't Spencer Brown like him, but I like him. I think frame, size, bend, effort, all that type of stuff. If you're going to miss on a guy that's 6'7" that has good feet, 310 pounds, and he's still got room to grow.
His base a little skinny there.
Yeah, he is. He's only 310. Like you said, he's lean. You're going to want him 330 or so, which can happen pretty easily. Yeah. But I can see here he's still at left tackle. I think that was I'm not sure who that was. That may have been Jermaine Johnson.
Good throw, Kenny
couldn't have
Pickett.
been because it was practice. They didn't go against Jermaine Johnson.
No.
That's Isaiah Thomas, Oklahoma, that he stands up right there. And
Jeremy
then
Ruckert.
Again, let's see if we have one more play. Left tackle again, and that's a 220-pound linebacker that's playing edge, so a speed guy from Kansas. That he's got to work on his hands a little bit.
Yeah.
But you see
high and wide.
See a lot to like there. I think he goes to the second level on this one. He's uncovered. Gets out to the linebacker.
Oh, good.
Seals that off there. So I think third round might make sense, Mark.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if depending on how they start coming off the board, maybe a little sooner, or maybe I'm overrating him. Again, I was banging the drum for Spencer Brown to go on the first 20 picks, and he went near 100.
Yep.
I was right.
Yeah.
I was a lot closer to being right than the guys that let him drop to 100.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I do like him towards the third, though.
Yeah, he was my second favorite small school tackle there. I liked the Southern Utah kid better. I thought he popped more as far as the movement skills. Jones. Braden Jones. Yeah, I think it's Jones.
I'll post that one today. I've been saying, okay, who do I need to put up today at offensive tackle? I was thinking about doing Max Mitchell and Raymond, and I'll do those three today.
You're talking about all the guys that I'd like there day two.
Yeah, and, sometimes you like to hit the big school markets just to try and get the views, but sometimes the smaller school guys, people are a little more interested in them, and
they're their own.
Like, I haven't seen this guy. Who is this? When someone mentions him in one of their mocks. So I'll tell you what, though, Trevor Penning busted about 110,000 views on my YouTube channel.
Everybody wants tackles, man. A lot of those playoff teams.
I titled that one. I said the nastiest OL in the draft.
Yep.
And people are like, well, he's doing this and this. I didn't say he was the best.
He's going to have to fight Tyler Linderbaum for the nastiest.
I was like, nastiest is a state of mind, and he's a little dirty.
He is
a little dirty.
There must always be one
for the continued support, Mark.
Yeah, thank you. He's somebody has to wear the Richie Incognito hat in the NFL, right, to be the biggest jerkwad.
Now, I watched 2 teams all year that got bullied in the trenches. Yep. You know, we could use a little bully of our own.
Yeah. I would say Denver got more bullied in the defensive trenches, but yeah, moving on. Good morning, guys. Mr. Scary, thank you so much. Talking about trenches again, Antonio Jones. Can we get Falele, I think it's the name, in the third? Dude is huge. If the Broncos were playing their power gap scheme, more centric, letting him get his hands on guys and just move them, I think that's a possibility, but I really just don't think he's a good fit for the outside zone, for the type of bodies that you're looking for the movement skills that you're looking for. And he's still pretty darn raw. Minnesota used such a heavy emphasis on the RPO scheme that it pretty much, what it does is it makes the pass rush have to play you a certain way because they have to play the potential handoff. So it's very disciplined. And in the pure drop back game that I saw from Daniel Falele from Australia, 6'9", 380 pounds or whatever he is, he gave up that inside shoulder way too much because he didn't really have to worry about that as much at Minnesota for the offensive style they play. So it's going to be a transition for him. He's so big. Once he takes that inside shoulder, he's going to be a wall. Maybe you have some Orlando Brown ability there, but he's like 3 years from being Orlando Brown coming out. Massive guy, a lot of fun. He might even have to move to guard. I don't know if he actually has the foot quickness to hang on the outside. So the other thing with him is he plays a little bit tall sometimes on the edge. I remember it was 2 years ago, but AJ Epinesa at Iowa took his lunch money and sacked like 3 times going up against Falele. But he's good. I just don't think it's a scheme fit. You're going to find other guys who fit better for what you want.
And I wonder just about him at 6'8", 389, 39. Let's call it 390. I mean, he's 4 bills. I think there was a Dallas Cowboy lineman. I don't know if it was Nate Newton or somebody, or who was a big tackle out of Texas, like Leon Davis, somebody like that. Yes. Said, I'm not the first guy to play in the NFL 400 pounds. I'm just the first one to admit it.
Yeah.
I don't want him at 4 bills, and I wonder if he's a little too tall for guard. He's got the skill set of a great guard, and I worry about his lateral motion at tackle. But we'll see. And again, as far as scheme fit, I am interested in scheme fit in the 3rd round. I am. And if he falls that far, can he help a team? Absolutely. He can clog up lanes. If you're just passing guys, as long as your quarterback can see over around him, you're going to be okay. And Roy comes in with a comment I like here. Roy says, I like the smaller school guys personally. Seems to me they work harder and produce just as much in the NFL. Now, I've always said the hardest position to scout is quarterback because there's so much that goes into that you can't measure. But in reality, the places that's really the hardest from when they're 18 to they're into the NFL is the offensive line because they develop at a different level. Yeah. You hear about these guys. It's like, yeah, he entered as a 6'3", 240-pound tight end, and he's leaving at 6'7", 330 pounds. So the skill guys are born right away. They stand out quickly. Speed, quickness, skill, that shows up right away. Brute strength and power and size can take a lot longer to manifest itself. Mm-hmm. And, why do these guys make it to the smaller schools? Because they weren't 6'6", 310 pounds when they were 18 years and getting recruited in high school. If he was, he wouldn't have ended up at North Dakota. I guarantee you he was probably 250 and he was a tight end and a basketball player. I think I already looked up. I think he was a basketball player. But
you're talking about Raymond?
About Penning on this one.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Sorry,
Raymond also.
I went back to Penning from the small school. Yep. In my mind. And it's just it's just a physical development difference for the guys of that size. It just takes a little bit longer for some of them to get there. And that's why you see when you're going across Monday Night Football and they're like, Jamar Chase, LSU. And then you get to the linemen, they're like Central Michigan, North Dakota State. It's because they just develop at a different pace.
Yeah.
For the most part. Again, not all of them do. The guys that are ready, that mature earlier, they're the ones going to Alabama and LSU and Georgia and Ohio State.
Yep.
But if you could get 5 of those guys to North Dakota, you wouldn't be North Dakota.
No.
But you get lucky on one of those every so often. And if you're Northern Iowa, maybe twice when you take a look at Penning and Spencer Brown.
Yeah, they also had a good edge rusher last year as well, whose name's escaping me right now.
Ellison Smith. Yeah, he had energy. I think he went to the Giants because he was a guy who had a freak combine too, pro day too. And I think he battled some injury problems in preseason.
There's some good football being played in Iowa. Iowa State, Iowa, and Northern Iowa. Pretty good programs, honestly. We got Wyatt coming in. Go Hawks, Wyatt. Good to see us. Speaking of Iowa, really outside of Rodgers and Wilson, no quarterback options out there are for sure an upgrade over Locke. So if those two fall, I think it's pointless to spend a lot of money on someone that's the same as Locke. I mean, I guess it depends on who becomes available, but there's going to be, who knows what the quarterback carousel this year. Does Baker Mayfield become available? Is he better than Locke? Probably, but is it worth the value to what you're giving up to bring him in, especially with the contract coming probably right behind him? I would say emphatically, Kirk Cousins is definitely better than Locke. The issue is Kirk Cousins is going to cost you a big contract, and he's not going to take any sort of discount. So he scares me. Also, Kyler Murray, if he becomes available, definitely better than Locke.
There, again, this one comes down to the spend a lot for me, because most quarterbacks are better than Locke. Sorry, for what he's seen so far, he's a 32 to 35 quarterback in the NFL. Most of them have been better than Locke. He's got a career rating in the 80s. That's awful. Oh, he played great last year. Look how much he improved last year to finish the season. His quarterback rating was in the 80s. Bad. It's like we're doing, backflips because he didn't throw interceptions. Well, yay. He only threw one touchdown. That doesn't get it done. So you're looking to upgrade the position. Don't spend too much to do it. You don't want to overpay for anybody. That's the point. Is get value for what you're giving up. You don't want to spend a lot. You don't want to, would you be better off taking that cap money this year and dumping it into 5 upgrades across different positions? Maybe.
Or rolling it.
Depends on the cost. Again, depends on the cost.
Yeah. There are some options out there. Right now, I'd say you're probably right. Locke coming in this year would be a top 30 quarterback, which would put him probably as one of the
Michael.
Oh, big time. But I think Locke has a chance to become top 15 this year if everything broke out. But I think that's probably about your ceiling, which could be good enough to make playoffs.
Ranquillo comes in. This isn't buying coffee, saying, "Good morning, Nick and Scott. Broncos for breakfast. Go Broncos." And then just below that, twice, Michael, you've outdone yourself. You really have. That is 10,000 stars. That is 10,000 stars.
What do we do? We're not that good.
We're blessed. We're humble.
God. Yeah.
If I haven't sent you a mug yet, it's the least I can do. If you don't have one, or if you want to give someone away, give one away. Email me. Or hit me up on Twitter direct. You know my Twitter account. Hit me up direct message. And let me get your address as just a small token of our appreciation. It's just unbelievable. It's so humbling to be here and be able to talk Broncos football with y'all, and and that y'all consider us good enough to support us like you do. It's humbling, and it's truly humbling. Thank you so much.
Yep. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Michael. Mr. Scary coming in here. Rodgers or Wilson, who would you rather have? This is my tongue-in-cheek answer, but whichever one you can get here first, because I'm not sure if either becomes available. So if one becomes available, jump. I'm not holding out for anybody. I think I would rather have Rodgers just because you're talking a top 2 quarterback versus a top 10 quarterback right now with some of the young guys kind of ascending with Wilson. Maybe you can make an argument top 7 with Wilson. I think he's kind of fluctuating right now in that area. But Rodgers, I mean, way up there. It's Rodgers or Mahomes. So I'd probably go Rodgers, even though you'd have less time. But whichever one becomes available, yes, please. Whichever one can come here first. Come home. Come to Denver. Let's have some fun football again.
And for me, again, it comes down to cost. The builder in me would rather have Russell Wilson, probably. I'd rather have him for 6 or 7 years and know that I'm done at that position and I can start looking in some other places. That would be, I'd rather have the guy that's a little younger and can play a little longer. For next season, if this is my LA Rams window, Aaron Rodgers, he's a better quarterback. The guy's like, who said this, Nick? Some nonsense about he's the 3rd quarterback in the division if he comes in. The dude's won back-to-back MVPs. There's empirical evidence that says that's baloney. He's not just the best quarterback, he's the best player. 2 years in a row.
Yep.
So, you want that guy on your team.
I mean, the division would have 4 of the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL, which is unfreaking believable if that happened. And Derek Carr is a top 10 quarterback in the NFL right now, especially with who knows what's with Watson, Lamar Jackson regressing, Tom Brady retiring. So Carr's top 10.
Then let's go look at the NFC South.
Oh my God. Scott, can we like switch for a year? The Broncos would win the South.
Taysom Hill.
Sam Darnold.
Matt Ryan's a good player, but he was in the 20s last year in rating because he's by himself. On that, I'm exaggerating a little bit.
Hope and pray. Kyle Pitts, please, God.
Sam Darnold,
and then Kyle Trask, killing it.
Maybe Trask Blaine Gabbert. That good at Florida.
No, he wasn't.
No, he wasn't bad. He actually had very similar numbers to Mac Jones because I remember thinking if Mac Jones is worth the one, Kyle Trask should be worth the middle round pick.
Yeah, and
the numbers were similar.
He was also throwing to Tony and Pitts, and
like Mac Jones is throwing to stiffs. Come on.
I know, but like it looked different to me. It looked like more like he's getting bailed out by the guy with the longest wingspan in pass catcher history, versus Jones, who was operating offense 1 year, plug and play. Kyle Trask also I didn't do it for me. Although I'll say Mac Jones, I wouldn't have taken him at 9 either, just because I thought he was limited. And I'm not taking a guy if you don't have everything in the top 10. So Travis coming in saying, good morning, Nick and Scott in Broncos country. Good morning to you, Travis. We should get into our topic of conversation here with the draft here because you're talking about Utah. But what would you guys think if Denver drafted Covey out of Utah? Doesn't want to play wide receiver, primary, wants to play kick returner, punter. He can replace Spencer. Nice stars, Michael. With the roster being 53 men only, I'm having a hard time taking a pure specialist. If all you can do is kick and punt return, you need to be able to do other things as well for me. At least have the option to do other things as well, unless you're a Devin Hester type. And I don't think he's that good. You have to be like Hall of Famer. So I guess if it's a late round pick, you can, roll the dice on it. But I'm looking for somebody who can at least bring a little bit more additional value because those roster spots, especially active game day roster spots, are valuable. And you're going to have to be able to play different roles on that back end of the active roster. So, sorry, let me stop talking as soon as Scott goes to take a
no, that's okay. I went for a small sip that time, and It's not too hot. Covey's 25 years old. I think he was a Mormon mission guy or something. Yeah. He's worth a 7th for sure.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't have to play a ton of wide receiver in Denver, and he wouldn't be able to, frankly. Yep. But could he be a special teams ace? Is that worth how many are you allowed to dress? 48 or so on game day?
I think it's 48.
Yeah. Is that worth a 7th round pick and a 48th spot on your roster for a guy that can play gunner, all the return spots, who's on the field for a quarter of the plays? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. And if he's older, that's okay. Do you like him now? There's no upside there.
Yeah.
That's the thing is don't think about upside when you're talking about a guy who's already in his early 20s, mid 20s. So if you like him now, okay, take him. Can he help your team? Absolutely, he can. The bar has been set so low that anybody could help your team there. I mean, one of the questions, I don't remember what show we were on, Nick, but what player, who's one of your favorite players you'd like to see with the Broncos? Man, Cordero Patterson returning kicks. I don't even know how much I say that. And I'm every time they kick the ball in the end zone, I'm like, get rid of the kickoff. Just start from the 20. I'm tired of this garbage.
Yeah.
At least they don't go score, commercial break, kickoff, touchback, commercial break anymore. They don't do that after kickoff, commercial break anymore. Thank God. But yes, short answer is yes. Covey's worth a 7th round pick.
I really wish they'd move the touchback even for kickoffs another 5 yards forward because I want to see more action. I know it's the most dangerous part of the game, but like
I'm a little bit for player safety on this one. I really am. I mean, they're really exciting, but a touchback starting at the 15. No. I want to 30, the other direction.
I want them to have to make the decision whether it's worth it or not to kick it off, and a little bit more strategy with where they're kicking it, the hang time, et cetera, versus
20. We'll take care of that.
Yeah.
Move it back. These guys are kicking it, kick it from the 20 and you're fielding it at the goal line now.
Yep. Yeah. The argument against that is the amount of speed that those guys get from that distance. So I'm thinking a little bit more, if you're moving it forward on the kickoff touchback, you're not giving them the same runway. They're at full
speed in 20 yards.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're at full speed in 20 yards. That's not going to help. It's just, they might be a little more out of breath.
Yeah.
The collisions are,
again,
I'm a little bit more for player safety on this. I mean, the human being has evolved, from Herschel Walker outweighing 3 of his offensive linemen in 1980 on the Georgia National Championship team to, guys that are running 4.5s at close to 300 pounds.
Yeah.
But like the brain and the skull and the bone structure hasn't, and the protection around them hasn't, and the ligaments haven't. Yeah. So, you're seeing more of those kind of really scary injuries, and I'm okay with that. I really am, especially as many touchbacks as we've seen lately. If the kickoff were to just disappear, I'd be okay with it.
I'm here for getting rid of the extra point too. 2-point conversions only. Peter Middleton coming in saying, "Wow, good morning to you, Peter. Good to see you." Do we have any? Is your super chat thing working here, or should we get into?
I can check the stars. I'm going through them because Jacob just came in. There it is. With a morning stars almost at 735 stars. You guys are just freaking killing it today.
Wow.
Sending us into the weekend on a high note. Yep. Just like I said, it's humbling. It's completely humbling.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Well, let's thank you so much, guys. You guys have been killing it today. We really appreciate it. Good to see everybody coming in here. Dupe Pleb's always killing me. Dupe's the cynic, and he's just making me laugh through it all. I wonder who will finally be able to measure Kenny Pickett's hands. So hopefully it'll happen at the combine. If it doesn't happen at the combine, that's got all the red flags in the world. Like, don't measure these. They're fine. Trust me. Like, no, go through the process, buddy. We got to see it. We also got Ronjo coming in saying, "Good morning, guys. Love this show." Thank you so much, Ronjo. And if you guys like the show, make sure you're heading to iTunes and leaving us a 5-star rating and review on there. And if you have any question with you, then let's get into it. Jeremy says, "Let's not start the lock talk." Okay. Reason number 99 why the Broncos should move on from Drew. No, I'm just kidding. Let's get into the Broncos being mocked linebackers at 9 overall, and it's very conflicting to me. We have 2 recent ESPN mock drafts coming in here. Number 1 coming in from Jordan Reid, who was with the Draft Network for a while. I've been communicating with Jordan Reid and talking draft stuff with him for 4 or 5 years. He came on Building the Broncos probably about 4 or 5 times to talk draft talk as a guest. So really excited to see him moving up. Recent father to a couple twins. So shout out to Jordan Reid doing great things at ESPN. Really appreciate him. He's a Forder. He was a really talented quarterback for a smaller school at North Carolina. So fun to see him moving up. But anyway, Broncos at number 9 overall. And he has the Broncos taking inside linebacker, off-ball linebacker, whatever you want to call it, Devin Lloyd from the University of Utah. And he says, will Denver end up with Aaron Rodgers? It's hard to project anything for the Broncos until they figure out the quarterback situation. Ain't that the truth? They've had 0 success drafting and developing quarterbacks. Drew Lock deserves a shot to compete if they don't land a proven veteran, he says, but no one is saying they're Super Bowl bound with the 2019 draft pick under center, especially in a division that features Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, and Derek Carr. Yeah, that's so rough to see. The defense got a strong return for Patrick Surtain in his rookie year, but there are definitely some weak spots on that side of the ball. Broncos were bottom 6 in both pass rush win rate, 31.3%, 32nd. Broncos had the worst pass rush win rate in NFL last year, and they were 27th at run stop win rate at 27.8. Linebackers Alexander Johnson, Josie Jewell, and Kenny Young are all going to be free agents. Lloyd plays fast, is rangy, and has great recognition skills. I prefer Nakobe Dean slightly higher, but I'm hearing most teams like Lloyd a bit more. He's a plug-and-play starter who can be a leader on Denver's defense. And actually, this is funny because early in the season, I was saying, hey, talking linebackers, have you watched Brandon Smith from Penn State? Have you watched Jack Campbell from Iowa? Have you watched Nakobe Dean from Georgia? He's like, I like those guys. My number 1's Devin Lloyd. And full circle, here's Jordan Reid coming down and giving Denver Devin Lloyd at 9 overall. And Mark coming in, really appreciate your takes and everything. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Mark. We really appreciate you as well.
And yeah, we appreciate you because here's my take on that pick as CC comes in and says no inside linebackers at 9. So Devin Lloyd, when I watch Devin Lloyd, I don't see inside linebacker. I really don't. I see a guy who makes plays on the edges too. Mm-hmm. Who'll be a walk-up linebacker, a stand-up end, who can do different things, who can make those impact plays, not just the cleanup plays. Mm-hmm. I like his versatility. I like his length. I like his speed. I like his instincts in coverage. I like his instincts on timing on the blitzes. I think he's a playmaker. He's not just he's not just a line backer. He's a line attacker. Just made that up. It sounds really stupid, but
I like it. I'm in.
He is. He attacks the line of scrimmage. He's not just there to you guys hold there and we'll make sure this guy only gets 1 or 2 yards on a running play. No, he's making impact plays. The defense last year played not to lose. Well, who are your game winners? Who are the guys that are winning the game for you? I think Devin Lloyd can be one of those players where he is making the negative plays on tackles for loss, who is reading the screen and maybe getting a pick six, who can sneak in from the backside or a stunt or a delayed blitz and go get a quarterback sack. So I think he's, forget, off ball or inside or whatever you want to say it. He is a playmaker from the linebacker position. I like him. I do. I don't know that I love him at 9, but I could get behind that pick at 9 for sure. I really could.
Yeah, and the thing about Lloyd is that he was killer 2 years ago with Utah as well until the Pac-12 kind of shut down the very small sample size. But he was great, and he said, I'm going to come back and be even better next year. And he was. He was so good this last year. I've been trying to pull up the stats from ESPN, from a bit from the the likes of Pro Football Focus. But he had an insane amount of tackles for loss this year compared to his overall total tackles.
And Nick, a lot of that's coming from the outside.
Yeah, he steps down.
A lot of that's coming from the outside. So, you say inside, and he's not a Mike. He's a linebacker that can make plays from. You can line him up in different spots. He's a wild card. I like that about him. I just worry with I feel like there's still such a need because I don't count on Bradley Chubb. I don't.
No,
I don't. I feel like there's such a need at edge, and there's so many good ones available. I just don't think you can go away from edge in this class at 9.
Yeah,
I don't. We'll see.
Yeah, and I don't think he's Ethan coming in saying so he's Micah Parsons. He's not the height, weight, speed, physical.
Yeah,
there's one Micah Parsons.
Light. Yeah, Micah Parsons light. I don't think he's going to come in at 245 pounds running a 4.35.
Yeah.
Like Micah did. Micah, when I saw Micah's pro day last year, I immediately wrote up this is a top 5 consideration. He should be considered in the top 5.
Yeah.
Even in this draft, I don't think anybody's making that type of comparison. I just don't like the label inside, off ball. No, he's an X factor. I think he can do a lot of different things. So Micah Parsons light, not Micah Parsons.
Yeah, and absolutely. And Devin Lloyd, when they targeted him this last year, quarterback rating of only 53.9, which is pretty good for the spread it out, talented, passing-centric Pac-12 there. So that typically you don't see linebackers getting that chance in coverage. I think he's very smooth. I know that you've seen him more as a downhill attacking player, which is interesting considering he was recruited and early on played safety and was moved down to that Mike role. And I think he's actually got some pretty good hips and can move backwards and laterally as well. When asked, you are doing a little bit of projection there based on the skill set, and you're going to want to see that at the combine, going through those drills. I'm a little disappointed he did pull out of the Senior Bowl for that reason. Obviously, linebackers are at a huge disadvantage in those drills because they have no help. So does it help Devin Lloyd, or is it going to open up questions that realistically shouldn't even be there because that's, typically a linebacker is going to have help because they're a bleeping linebacker in coverage. But I digress. But I really like Devin Lloyd. He looks pretty long. He's a little bit slender as far he doesn't really have broad shoulders. I think the arm length will be good, but the wingspan when you're talking about across the chest as well won't be incredible. But I like him a lot, and I agree with you. I think he has a little bit of not the freak athlete, but as far as usage, as far as the off ball, move him around, walk him down to play over the line Sam's type of situation, maybe some Jamie Collins-esque level of usage when Jamie Collins was good. Not the same caliber athlete, but I think a much more instinctual player, which matters to the linebacker position. And he also has ball skills. I mean, crazy amount of pick sixes, plays on the ball as well. He just always around the ball. Really fun player, covers space quickly. I really like Devin Lloyd. It's just, it really hurts. It hurts me to say because linebacker is a position that, historically speaking, the last decade, the return you get from taking one in the first round versus the return you get for taking one day 2 is negligible. You have very, some positions, the difference between edge rusher round 1 versus round 2, or quarterback round 1 or round 2, to tackle round 1, round 2, night and day difference. All the stars, everybody's coming from the first round in that situation for the most part. Linebacker, it's just, there's not a a big difference, historical trends wise from round 1 to day 2. So is it the best usage of resources? You have to be right. You always have to be right, but like you have to be emphatically right on that because otherwise it's a poor usage of the 9th overall pick.
Yeah, and real quick, Jeremy comes in as a voice of reason saying, Tommy and DBA, I love you guys, but enough, no more. I don't want any more of the lock talk in here. You guys are killing the chat, killing it. And we're not going to have it. Got almost 200 people in here. And all I'm seeing is you two in the chat. It's enough. No more. Thank you.
I take blame too, because I kind of picked at the scab and made a little joke there.
Okay.
So
take it to Twitter. There's plenty of other avenues to go and have this discussion. Just no more in here because it's dominating the chat and it hurts the other 175 people that are watching right now.
Yeah, so, let's get in.
If it's not Devin Lloyd, then could it be Nakobe Dean in that spot?
Not for me. Not for me. I think he is too physically limited as far as his play for as small as he is. He looks fast on tape, but the issue with his play is I think it's more instinctual than it is actual athletic skills. And then also he is a little bit small for the position. I think Georgia there's no team in football that would have covered him up better and left his questions still being big than DBA's. I mean, they're trying to push us here. Trying to, you had Jordan Davis in front of him. You had Trevin Walker. You had Jalen Carter, who will be a top 10 pick next year. You had Devonta Wyatt. And Dean wasn't asked to really play in space, so to speak, or having to take on bodies. He was allowed to be free ranging, go downhill, make a play. So he's an absolute dude as far as the competitive nature goes, but he doesn't have the length, doesn't have the athleticism, and doesn't have the skill set that I'm looking for a top 10 pick. Also, I think he needs to play in a 4-3 centric defense where he can be covered. I don't want to have it's kind of like Deion Jones going from the 4-3 to the 3-4. Oh, now you're going to have a lot more offensive linemen climbing and touching you. Your play dropped precipitously when that happened because you just don't have the frame and skill set to play that skill unless you're totally covered up. So he scares me a bit there.
So Travis coming in with a guy that can help keep your linebackers clean.
Yep.
Is one of those guys is Travis Jones, defensive lineman from UConn. Let me show just a little bit of video of Travis Jones too. The question I have about them and the problem I have with these guys is you're almost in. He's so strong.
Yeah, he's a monster.
And he uses his hands well, and he's got good length. The problem I have with Penning and Jones is I don't necessarily like them at 9.
No.
And I think you're too far away in the second to get them. So
you think Jones is going to go that high?
I think Jones can go. Before. Where are you, about 38 to 40, somewhere in that neighborhood?
I was going to say 40 to 50 is where Jones comes off the board.
No, but that's where you are, right? I think Jones could end up sneaking into the back end of the second round in the 20s.
Oh, in the second round. Yeah, if you want Jones.
No, I'm sorry. I think Jones can go in the 20s, the back end of the first.
Man, he's really good. I do wonder. Nose tackle, I think, is getting a little bit more value again because teams want to play 6 in the box. And in order to do that, you have to have a 0 or a 1 who can occupy multiple gaps. And that's really valuable to do if you want to put guys in space. That's sneaking in the first round. That'd be interesting. It's just such a good defensive tackle class. And there's not enough teams that specifically, there's enough variety in scheme where maybe only half the teams in the league think I'd rather have Jones versus who was the Oklahoma guy who was killing it?
Perrion Winfrey.
Yes, totally different body types. Devonta Wyatt, totally different skill sets. But because of the niche roles, I don't know if he's a fit for every single team.
I think he can play 4-3 defensive tackle. I really do. And I think he can play 3-4 nose guard. I think that versatility makes him that much more valuable.
Yeah.
I would rather have him at 30 than Jordan Davis at 15.
Oh, easily. Yeah.
I think they're similar enough on that. And then Penning, again, where is Penning going to go? I've seen him mocked as high as like 10. But I don't want him at 9. I think there's too many questions about his mobility and his athleticism there. So I really like those guys too, Travis.
Yeah.
But you're almost in a no man's land with those guys. If Travis Jones, if you get him in the second round, steal.
Yeah.
He starts right away and upgrades your defense right away. He is better than Mike Purcell the second he steps on the field.
Yep, definitely. Mike Purcell is kind of just a jag. And, we talked about it earlier with discussing the draft pick there from And excuse me, that was Todd McShay's that I read there. I don't think that was actually Jordan Reed's. I was reading Todd McShay's read there. I got my pictures mixed up. So it definitely makes a lot of sense to get him in there. I would love Travis Jones and Mike Purcell talking about the Broncos' defensive front last year, the worst in the NFL in pass rush win rate for ESPN, the 5th worst in the NFL at run stuff win rate. It's not good up front. Not very good. I think the only guy on that entire front 7 last year that was a plus player was Draymond Jones. The rest of them were average or below average, fighting injury or young and hopeful. But other than that, they're not that front 7. I mean, what Vic Fangio was able to do last year, I know it's a lot of disparaging Vic Fangio right now, but what he was able to do with the defense when the front 7 was lacking as much talent as it was should not be overstated. And I would expect some major regression this year from the defense.
Major regression.
Yeah, gosh. Unfortunately.
I don't know, Nick. I don't know. I think, again, they played not to lose. They're like, okay, we're just going to kind of hen everybody in. We've got really good defensive backs, and we're going to make you try and work your way down the field, and lose patience and try and throw the ball against our defensive backs. It was, I don't know, chicken isn't the right word, but it was okay, and then we're going to try and take the air out of the ball on offense and limit the possessions. I don't think there's going to be a big regression. I really don't.
We'll see.
We'll see. And Peter coming in saying that the Broncos have a first. I'm presuming they didn't get who they wanted. I mean, again, we're talking all this at 9, and the Broncos very well could trade out of the 9. Would they be tempted then to trade down for a 2023 first or move up to get who they really want? This is not the draft to move up. I don't see them moving up in this draft.
From 9. From 9. I could see them moving back up into the bottom of the first.
Okay. Yeah, but I mean, you're not moving up higher than 9.
Yes. Yeah.
And if you can move back 20 spots and get a 2023 first. Yes.
Oh, yes, baby. Yep. Absolutely.
If someone comes in and says, okay, I really want, let's say, I don't know where, the Steelers are, but if the Steelers say, okay, we want to make sure we get our quarterback, we're going to offer you to swap, and we're going to give you a 2023 first also. Yes, please.
Yep.
Yes, please.
Absolutely. And let's keep going here with Devin Lloyd. Now we have Jordan Reed's quick little blurb for the Broncos here saying taking Devin Lloyd as well. This is a chat or a mock draft from last week saying Broncos taking Devin Lloyd at 9. It's no secret the Broncos might not make this selection. They could use it to trade for a veteran quarterback. Seems like everybody coming out of the Senior Bowl is saying Denver's looking at quarterback, but they're not looking at one in the draft, which makes me feel good because I don't really like these guys at 9 overall, but we'll see what happens. If they were to keep the pick, Lloyd could be the answer to getting more speed and consistency at the second level. Denver has 3 guys who are going to be free agents, and Lloyd is going to add versatility and pass rush ability to that front 7, desperately needed to get some playmakers there. He also has the Broncos going Cameron Thomas, the edge rusher out of San Diego State, at 40. Cameron Thomas had a hamstring injury, was down at the Senior Bowl because the hamstring didn't participate. 6'4", 265, big, strong player, one of the top tackle for loss edge rushers in football this last year. And he's also a power edge as well. He has some versatility as far as like 7 technique, 5 technique, maybe some 4-eye as well. Like him a lot. And then at 64 overall, where the Rams pick, because the Rams won the Super Bowl, have the Rams second round pick, he has the Broncos taking Carson Strong there. And Carson Strong at 64, that's great. That signed me up. People are talking about are you not here? Oh, you're talking about something else. Okay. Carson Strong at 64 though is fine with me. And oh my God, now I see what you're doing. I feel like Scott is having a hard time. Are we okay? I'm not okay. God damn, we're gonna have to start wearing Broncos for breakfast. Brought to you by the DWI guys. Sponsored. No, thank you so much. That is absolutely incredible. Great show. Hope we can keep it going. You guys in the Broncos country are great. Tafarf, hashtag the closer. That's insanity, man. The numbers don't make sense. We need a new color. This needs to flash gold or like be blinking or something like that. You okay, Scott? You need to take a lap?
It is. It's mind blowing. It really is. And I run out of words. I just can't say thank you enough. I can't.
Yep.
Mark, Michael, Ethan, Jacob, the Travises come in all the time. And if I'm forgetting off the top of my head, I'm sorry. Again, there's so much. It's just amazing. It really is. And I want to apologize to the people who listen to this after the fact and they're like, all they do is gush about supers. Well, kind of sometimes when they drop, a $250 super chat, it helps us make sure that we're bringing you the audio version of the podcast too. So thank you. And thank you for listening after the fact. It's just awesome. It's just awesome. And Ethan, I don't know if Ethan was a Chelsea fan beforehand, but I'm turning him into a Chelsea fan. Trust me, I'd rather talk Chelsea than Falcons. I promise you that.
Yeah, that's amazing. Michael coming into a great show today on Broncos for Breakfast with Nick and Scott. Go Broncos.
And that was another 3,000 stars from Michael.
Man, I don't even know.
Wait, y'all tune in tonight when they update the stars, because you're probably going to be, I think, what are we, about half? We were about half the month, so about 50%. We should be about 75%. Just awesome.
Yeah.
Just awesome.
Absolutely. And we got Chronic coming in here, or Chronoic coming in here saying, most people believe you shouldn't draft a quarterback with the 9th pick, but everyone on the radio be telling us to draft a quarterback just because it's a quarterback and you don't like them. I saw there was the Bleacher Report just had a 3-round mock draft. You guys are interested there with a bunch of people, and they had the Broncos going Kenny Pickett at 9. And with the quarterback going early, they had for the first round, they had blurbs with every single one. And the beginning of the topic for Kenny Pickett at 9 is like, this is a bad quarterback class, but somebody's going to take one and maybe make the poor investment. That's a great start, guys. We're off to a great start with the 9th overall pick, taking a quarterback. It's a bad class. Somebody's going to be stupid and do it. And they said it's not as bad of an investment because the cost control. It's not like, the Sam Bradford days where they're getting the biggest contract in the NFL before they even play a snap. So at least it's not going to absolutely kill your franchise for years. It's just going to set you back a little bit. Anyway, Kenny Pickett at 9. It's like, this is the worst lead up to a pick I've ever heard in my life. We might as well just set the pick on fire. I guess you never know until you do.
Get something out of that. Keep your hands warm at least.
Oh my God, it drives me insane. And who knows what George Payton is thinking, because every single time people try to get in his head, it sounds like he surprised you. But there has been some in Denver media that have said that George Payton is a stark believer in hand size, and that would put Kenny Pickett off his board. So we'll see if that plays out. But Kenny Pickett scares me. I have Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett, the end of the first round, 25 through the Paxton Lynch range, if you will. Sure, roll the dice. I'm fine with that. Same with Sam Howell. Same with Matt Corral. Those guys, I'm having a hard time separating those three. But 9 overall, I just can't get behind it, man. It just drives me insane with Kenny Pickett.
Nick, I think if it's 9, if it is quarterback at 9, it's got to be Malik Willis. You got to go with the guy with the highest upside. And you don't mind sitting him for a year because you got a quarterback with starting experience for a year to keep the seat warm for him. Yep. So if you go quarterback at 9, I think you've got to go Malik Willis, not Kenny Pickett. Yep. A team like the Panthers, who want somebody to come in and start right away, would be more after Matt Corral or Kenny Pickett at 6. And then watch the Steelers. The Steelers are going to looking for a guy too. They may be a team that wants to trade up. Yes, please. Send me your picks. Yep. We'll move down. Yep. LED says, good morning from Page, Arizona, with the super coming in. So I can't wait for everything to unfold for our Broncos. It's fun. It is. Yeah. It's fun. We started this show last April, so we're coming up on a year before the draft. And there was a lot more talk. I feel like I know a hell of a lot more about the Broncos. I promise you that after this year than I did last year. And it's going to be a lot more fun for me. And hopefully that means better content for you as well. Yep.
Absolutely. We appreciate you guys. Travis coming back in too. Great show this morning. Enjoy your coffee and breakfast and enjoy the rest of your day. Mile High salute.
Thank you for the stars, Travis, again.
Yep. Dupes plebs. Is Bo Nix in this draft? Bo Nix transferred to Oregon. So he is not in this draft class. We got Amy coming in here. Hello.
Good morning, Amy. We like to call out our the ladies of the Broncos country because, well, there's not enough. Tell a friend. We appreciate all. I am absolutely equal opportunity when it comes to smart conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of awesome Bronco ladies out there for sure. Rounding out here because it is 8:38 now Mountain Time, and Ethan said to keep it going, so we'll keep it going for just a little bit longer. But the thing I wanted to get into, we talk about the linebacker position. First, Malcolm Brown is Willis type of running quarterback who gets hit. He does get hit, but he is built like a running back. Honest to God, Willis is an elusive enough runner and an explosive enough and twitchy enough runner that if it doesn't work out for him at the quarterback position, he could play running back in the NFL. Like that's insane to say, but he really is that caliber of athlete back there at the quarterback position. He also has an absolutely insane power arm. It's the skills side of it, not the tools, but the skills side of things. Where with Willis, you are banking on development there.
And
So
frankly, he didn't. I don't know how much he played quarterback or not, or if he was just being recruited as an athlete coming into high school, or if he'd been a quarterback all along. When I went to see him as a senior, I immediately said, at Roswell High School, I immediately said, "You're talking athlete for this guy? No, quarterback." Because I saw the tools. Now, how does that refine through the ages? He moved around a lot, played in kind of a wonky offense. So he's a guy who's going to need a little time. But, again, if these guys all hit, and there's no guarantee they will, Malik Willis is going to be your best quarterback out of this class.
Yep. Yeah, that's very true. It doesn't always work out that way, but if I'm going to miss on the quarterback position, I'm going to miss out on tools. I'm not
saying in basketball, if you're going to miss on a 7-footer.
Yep.
I feel like this. If you're going to miss, I kind of joke. If I'm going to miss on Matt Miletsko, who's 6'7", 310. Miss on a quarterback who can throw the ball through the wall. Miss on the 4-4 wide receiver. Miss on the guy with upside and tools. Not on the one that you hope skills will translate, but you're not quite sure about them physically. Miss on the ones you're with the upside. So good question, and thank you. Thanks, Malcolm.
Absolutely. And we have a comment here from, too many tabs open. Malcolm Brown. Good info. Thanks. Thank you, Malcolm. You're greatly appreciated. Hope things are doing well up there in Homer, Alaska, unless you're in Kansas with your wild grandchildren, as you like to say. Albert saying
Wills could be compared roughly to Wilson. No, not for me. Wilson was a damned good quarterback.
Yeah.
All along in high school. I put 2 stars next to his name when he was coming out because 5'11" guys don't go play quarterback when they're top shelf baseball players. Like, well, he ain't going to go play quarterback. He's going to go play baseball.
Yep.
I've learned, the game has evolved since then. And he helped change my thinking a lot. So I put 5 stars next to Kyler Murray. But Russell Wilson, he was pure quarterback, always been a quarterback. So he was much, much farther ahead in the lines in his progression.
Yeah, absolutely. And Holden Adams coming in. Hope you're doing well, Holden. That might be a new picture there, unless you come in on YouTube sometimes. But thanks for coming in. 2023 quarterback class. Would it include Young and Stroud? Right now, it would. I mean, obviously, sometimes some guys return when you're not expecting it. I mean, nobody thought Andrew Luck would return, and he did for a senior year. So we'll see. But yeah, next year's already off to a much better start because you already have 2 emphatic top guys in the class. It's not a bunch of maybes. It's you have boom right at the top 1, 2 in Stroud and Young. And then you have a bunch of guys that would have been this year's class where would rise up the class.
Yeah, I haven't even looked at next year's class really, and there's already 3 guys I know of that would go number 1 overall in this class, which is well, why can't they then?
Yeah, right. It's dumb. Wait a second. Are you talking quarterbacks? Are you including Will Anderson?
I'm at Will Anderson too. Yeah, I'm talking edge, Will Anderson, Alabama, Bryce Young, quarterback, Alabama, CJ Stroud, quarterback, Ohio State. Those 3 guys would go number 1 in this class. No doubt in my mind.
Absolutely. And some guys who were being hyped up as maybe early picks in this year's class a year ago all returned to school because they weren't that good, but some of them still have talent. We'll see what Spencer Rattler does as far as improving his maturity and how he does at South Carolina. There's also Keaton Slovis transferred from USC to Pitt. So Dane Brugler a year ago from now was saying folks in the NFL have Keaton Slovis as their number 1 quarterback entering the season. Didn't do very good this year, transferred to Pitt, but he's one to keep an eye on. Jaden Daniels, really talented at Arizona State. Hendon Hooker returned for another year. Will Levis at Kentucky actually impressed me a lot this season. He's actually a solid athlete with a good arm. So yeah, really good arm for Kentucky. He's fun to watch, transferred out of Penn State. Keep an eye on him. Number 1 of the top recruits that didn't live up to it this last year, but is an absolute unit with arm talent that needs to improve, but he has the tools. DJ Ugalele from Clemson struggled this year, but still keep an eye out for him.
You're young. You're supposed to. That's why you're there. I saw you in a Dr. Pepper commercial. Now go play the position.
Yep, 100%. Another one who returned that could have come out this year that, again,
say hi to Gary.
Hello, Gary. Phil Jerkovic from Boston College is another one here. Gary Leeds Palmer. Glad I caught you guys. Glad you caught us as well, Gary.
Glad you're here too.
Yeah, absolutely. Some other guys that really impressed me next year, both Utah quarterbacks actually stand out for me. I really have been impressed with Jaron Hall out of BYU. He's a little bit small, but he's got a snappy release, really rubber band arm. So I like him a lot. People are like, oh, he's going to be a little older. He's going to be younger than by like 9 months than what Kenny Pickett is this year. So I mean, obviously you don't want him to be older, but like he's almost a full year younger than Kenny Pickett or will be coming out. So obviously I guess it doesn't matter that much. I like Cam Rising out of Utah as well. I thought he did blow for blow in that Utah game. Very tough player as well. And then I'm really interested to see what Tanner McKee at Stanford can do. Anthony Richardson at Florida. I mean, next year's class has some guys, man. I'm really excited to see what next year can do. Brennan Armstrong.
All right, move on. I don't want to talk 2023 draft.
There's so much core. I don't
want to finish the show with 2023 draft. If you're losing me because they're so far away, you're losing some of our listeners.
Sorry.
David comes in, bringing us back on topic. So I'd say edge at 9 or trade back is far more likely than taking a linebacker at 9. Would you? Again, David, I think edge at 9 in this class, in your needs, just makes sense. It just makes sense, unless it's a corner. You get another corner opposite or a right tackle if one of those tackles falls. But edge, corner, tackle.
Yep.
Not linebacker at 9. Not linebacker at 9. It doesn't totally make sense to me. Like I said, I could get behind it, but I don't think that's where they'll go. It doesn't, especially with a new offensive-minded coach, coming in. So he might want to look for the wide receiver. Makes more sense.
More value.
Trading back again. What are you going to be offered? Those are the questions I always want to know. I wish I could be a fly on the wall and say what's coming in, what is being offered, because trading back and accumulating picks in the second round in this draft would be awesome. If I could move back and pick up 2 second rounders, draft at 18 and get 2 second rounders out of it, yes, please. Yep. Yes, please.
Absolutely. And I saw a comment here from Malcolm Brown. We'll get out of here soon, but talking linebacker again, there's just some interesting data that I want to share here. I know, guys, everybody, then here comes the nerds, but we're going to get into it. So there is, I went back and tabulated. Here we go. Hopefully you guys can see this. Every single first round linebacker drafted from 2021 all the way to 2017. And the return on investment has not been great. Let's just put it that way. The average Pro Football Focus defensive grade has been a 48.4, which is a well below average starter at the position. And if you guys can see, just not good return. It's just been poor. The guys who here have really emphatically hit, and I will take exception to their Devin White grade being 34.1. Now, granted, he struggled a lot when Vita Vea and Levante David were out, where he had much more was put on his plate. He couldn't just be like, I'm not thinking, I can go attack. Did play dropped a lot. But this is a graveyard of busts at the linebacker position that you don't tend to see at other positions in the draft. I mean, the best one far and away is Micah Parsons. And the reason he is extremely valuable and graded as highly as is because he was the best one-on-one pass rusher in the entire NFL this last season. So again, it's a risky proposition going linebacker in the first round. And I think the reason linebackers are so hard to hit in that regard.
No pun intended.
They're so hard to hit is because what they're asked to do at the NFL level consistently is not as much on tape at the college level. You're not having them have to play over the slot, isolated in man coverage versus a really good tight end or running back more than, I think in college football in 2020, I think this is the data. I have it right here. There were only 8 linebackers who played 100 snaps in the slot. In the NFL, there were 22. And that's way more linebackers at the college level than the NFL level, way more games. And you still don't have that level of play from the linebacker position. So you don't have the reps that are going to be valued that you can evaluate. So it's a much more erratic position. And the hit rate for a stud at the position from a top 3 pick to a day 2 pick goes from 18% to like 12%. It's not. You can find really good linebackers every single year, day 2. The data shows it. So it kind of scares me. And Nick, you didn't want Parsons because of the off-field issues, and I would make that bet again. Sorry, I'm looking for reasons not to take somebody. And if you have assault charges where you are taking a back end of a plunger to somebody's backside, then I probably don't want to take you in the top 10.
This wasn't just, I hear bullying, and sometimes I kind of, I roll my eyes at that, because, everything's bullying these days. Everything's racist, cry foul, this. And then I kind of read into that one like, oh, never mind. This is a few good men stuff. This isn't bullying. This is torture to a certain extent. This is different. This is different.
Prison yard kind of stuff. But Parsons is great. The other thing is, if I was charge of a scouting department or was a scout, hey James, then I would be asking questions. It wouldn't be right off my board, but from where I sit, he was off my board. But if I was able to interview, his middle school principal, he also yelled gun in a room and caused a huge chaos outbreak in high school. He had a couple fights with teammates where he destroyed electronics at Penn State as well. I mean, it's just like, God, too much things. No doubt a talented player, but you're just adding so much risk to that investment. And you don't want to have a Henry Ruggs type of situation where, you used a really early pick on somebody and boom, he's gone. So
in the meantime, you can get the ultimate professional and shore up a position at cornerback, which you did.
Yep.
So
it's just
not bad.
It's scary.
You weren't missing out on a whole lot there for sure. DWI guys coming in and saying Surtain's still the better pick. There were so many good guys at that spot. You were either getting a really exciting player or your quarterback of the future that you could watch. So
Yep. And Rashawn Slater was there too. That could
and this draft has the depth. It's not the sexy draft, but I'm telling you, there's 3 guys. You should be able to get 3 guys that are playing a lot at the top of your draft in the trenches. At tackle, at edge, at defensive tackle. If you're still in your 3-4, all across the lines, you should get 3 guys that are in the rotation right away with your first 3 picks.
Yep. From pick 6 through 50. You might as well just put a list of the names of everybody in a hat and pull it out because it could go that way. You have about as good of a shot as anybody doing the mock drafts. I think Jordan Reid just said yesterday that outside of like the position of punter, safety, and center, there is absolutely no consensus on the order of these guys. And Bama, you're right. For Henry Ruggs, I'm just saying I'm comparing the losing of the draft investment with what happened with the Raiders versus the decision making with Ruggs. What happened with Ruggs is terrible, and it didn't sound like he was a bad dude. He made one bad mistake, and he's going to pay dearly for it for the rest of his life. But there's a reason that you don't you weigh these guys and their background and stuff, and maybe don't invest on them. But Parsons is an incredible player. And if I was in charge of a scouting department, I would have been asking all these questions for him. I will say though, maybe I didn't get the. Okay. He's definitely worth the 9th overall pick on the field. No doubt he's worth a top 5 pick on the field. I absolutely nailed the valuation in the role. People in Denver, what are we going to do about Travis Kelce and Darren Waller? Why don't we draft Micah Parsons? If you're playing Micah Parsons on those guys in third down in space, he is looking not very good. No doubt about it. That's not his game. I said he was the number 1 edge rusher in the class last year. And by God, he's a freaking incredible edge rusher.
If I cover George Kittle and Travis Kelce with Micah Parsons, there's 4 other receivers out there that can beat me.
Yeah.
If I go knock Patrick Mahomes on his butt, it doesn't matter what the coverage is behind me. So again, edge rushers to me, the best defense in the world is a quarterback under pressure.
Yep. Just ask the Rams, who had nobody but Ramsey on that back 7. But yeah, guys, we are at an hour and 17, but the supers were too good and the conversation was too good as well. But we really appreciate you. We're really excited to see what the future holds. It's draft season, it's free agency season, a lot of turnover, a lot of discussion. It's going to be a lot of fun to see what happens. George Payton obviously killed it with last year's draft. He's got 5 picks in the top 100 this year. He's got a lot of cap room as well. I think the Broncos have the 3rd most resources, compiled draft picks, movable, cap room, guys that can be cut or extended or et cetera. And there's going to be a lot of movement here. Obviously, your door doesn't even open until you have the quarterback position set, and you have the guy, which Denver does not know they have the guy. Sorry, some people. But it's gonna be a fun offseason, no doubt about it, and different avenues to get it done. But that's why the mock draft's fun, right? It's the academic discussion of why does this make sense? What does this look like? And what are the ramifications of said moves? So that's why we talk mock drafts. That's why we talk all these guys, because there's so many different alternative realities that could be flushed out over the coming months.
Yeah, and it doesn't necessarily matter what we say, but it's fun to think about what could happen. That's what I love about the draft. That's what I fell in love in the draft to begin with, and I'd rewatch it over just to see who was smart, who did their homework, who did the best job. Before we get out of here, thanks to all our supporters, but I think everyone will agree and not feel slighted if we give a special thanks to Michael Renkio and Ethan. for their donations and contributions to the show today. Mark Schrader, again, like I said, Jacob Foster. Again, thank you to everybody, but a special thanks to those two today.
Yeah, absolutely. Travis Weber, Peter Middleton. You guys are great. We appreciate you. We won't see you already. And Nick, are you from the future? You already know who Denver is getting in 2023. They don't have their 2023 pick because Aaron Rodgers is coming to town, baby. Woo! Let's do it. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. Caffeine's really starting to hit me. I think I need to use the restroom, but you guys can follow Scott and I'm just sitting here like, oh, why am I shaking? I got a potty. I have a dog now, so now I say potty all the time. Go potty. Go potty. He's also such a chicken at night. If I don't turn the lights on in the backyard, I'm like, go potty, and he won't step in the grass. He's like, nope, it's too scary back there. There was one time there's a raccoon back there, and he refuses to go back there unless I go stand in the yard with him. Oh, thank God he's cute. You guys can follow Scott and I on Twitter. Scott is at Scout Kennedy. I am at Nick Kendell MHH. Also, make sure you guys are following us at Huddle Up Pod and at Mile High Huddle. If you guys are on Facebook, I'm glad we could get I think the Facebook chat kind of sorted itself out. So with the stars and everything. But if you guys are joining us on Facebook today and you are not already subscribed to our channel, make sure you do so. Facebook.com/Mile High Huddle, as well as Facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod. Please subscribe, like, and share to this channel on YouTube if you have not done so already. I know a lot of you guys, because this is a international show, not everybody's in Broncos country, but if you know some Broncos fans, you're in any Broncos groups or anything, share the show. Say, hey, these guys, they don't know anything that they're saying, but they're a lot of fun. Just come hang out with us. It's a good time. Come hang out with me to hang out with these guys in the morning, in the evening, whatever it is. Make sure you're sharing these on your socials as well. That helps us a lot. If you're joining us via iTunes after the fact, or you even have an iTunes, I'm a podcast fiend. I listen to everything on 2 times as well because I'm a information psychopath. Like, Nick, what music are you listening to? I'm not listening to music. I'm listening to somebody.
Alvin and the Chipmunks.
What's great about the iTunes 2 times is it doesn't change the pitch. Everything is crazy fast, but the pitch is still normal, which is, thank God. But I do listen to 2 times speed almost everything, just so I can consume that information. But make sure you guys are going to iTunes. Leave us a 5-star rating and review. I think Saturday I will get there. And if you guys have any questions on those comments and reviews, we'll treat them like super chats and get to them. I'll take a screenshot and pull them up. We appreciate the heck out of you. If you guys enjoy this swag, the coffee mug, the hat, make sure that you are going to, which one is it? HuddleUpPod.com to get your swag on. And guys, also make sure you're checking out Scott's channel at youtube.com/C/Scott Kennedy. A lot of Senior Bowl topics. We just did a top 10 mock draft where Scott mocked a edge rusher to the Broncos at 9.
That was here.
That was here? Was this? It
that
was here.
That was here. Okay. We did that one here. We did that one a couple weeks ago.
We talked draft and Devin Lloyd and wide receiver on your channel yesterday, and we'll keep it up with your channel on Wednesdays going forward. A lot of fun there. Man, we appreciate you guys. Re-listen to Nick on 2 times speed. Oh my God. That's probably why I talk so fast.
It might just sound like a hum.
Just a constant.
What's that feedback?
Yeah. Nick is wired. I read that as Nick is weird. Both would be true. Well, we appreciate the heck out of you guys. You're awesome. I don't even know what to say. Today was awesome. This weekend, and this week is going to be a rough one for me, but thank you guys for kicking off today very well for me and Scott. We will see you guys again next Monday for another Broncos for Breakfast. I'll see you guys Saturday night for Mile High Insiders, and tonight another Huddle Up Pod with Zach and Chad. So we appreciate you guys. You're awesome. Choose kindness, choose compassion. Go Broncos.